call the benevolent beings of light, archangels, and ascended masters to guide and inspire us during this forum. Our forum's vision is to bring the understanding, tools, discipline, and support for those seeking to enter the straight and narrow path, the road less traveled, that will lead us along effectively and steadily through the ascension process. Integration of the human experience with our divine origin is moving us full circle to achieve our divine potential. So be it. Amen.
If we could look into each other's hearts and see the challenges each of us faces, I think we would treat each other with more love, kindness, compassion, and patience. I think so too. What do you think? Beautiful. So tonight's topic is archetypes, and I really took notes regarding the dates associated with each one of these, which I want to go over first in case you missed it. So the warrior is people born on the 1st, the 8th, the 16th, and the 26th. Empathic healers on the 2nd, 6th, 16th, and 23rd. The charismatic sage on the 3rd, the 9th, the 18th, and the 25th. The creative spirit on the 4th, 10th, 17th, and 27th. The silent mystic on the 5th, the 7th, the 19th, and the 28th. The reflective hermit on the 11th, the 24th, and the 30th. The reliable guru on the 12th, the 13th, the 21st, and the 29th. And the passionate rebel on the 14th, the 20th, the 22nd, and the 31st. So anybody that is here, you know what day you were born on. I also want you to reflect on the month, the number of the month, because I feel that it does have a lot to reveal to you as well. So what is this all about, this archetype? What does it mean to us? The entire universe lined up in perfect order for you when you were born. And I want to say as well, the number of the time you were born also influences greatly how everything was lined up at that moment on that date. So take that into consideration if you do know the time that you were born. I tried to hold my daughter in one more day, and the reason is because I wanted her born on the 9th like me. She was born on the 8th. No matter what, that baby, even if it's not on the due date and everyone says it's a preemie, or they give some other analysis that this was not supposed to be, or the mother has something happen and has the baby, I assure you it was no accident, because they needed to be aligned at that holy moment. No matter what anybody says, we're not in charge of this. The soul of that being is in charge of it, and they're not going to miss their opportunity to be locked and loaded at the perfect moment that they had chosen for everything would be in perfect alignment to start, continue, and eventually end a cycle for each one of us. Every time we came back in, we went through the same thing because we were going to do different work, have different contracts, do what we came to do, what we decided that we were going to accomplish. Now, what happens when we left and we didn't accomplish what we had planned? It's called carry it forward. And then we continued and we tried again to get to that place that we had wanted to go. Sometimes we missed something. It was offered to us, but we made a choice other than the highest road we could take. And when that happens, it's no sin, and it's not that it can't be fixed. It just waits until another opportunity comes along. Now, there are times when we've been offered that perfect moment again in that same lifetime where we could, again, be offered that terrific, amazing moment of working on what we came in to do. And if we did accomplish it, we had the universe supporting us as well. The warrior. I feel like a lot of this is cycling from past lives as well. Because as we saw with the other birth date video that we saw, we had traits of other numbers that were there. But I assure you, there's other numbers that we're not taking into consideration, that our higher self is taking into consideration. And it's just that we picked up these traits because they actually were available to us, even though it didn't fall on our birthday. It didn't fall on the day, on the month, or the time that we were born, those numbers that were associated with that. And some of the numbers are way off the Richter scale that wouldn't even be noted here, but the traits are in you. And you know what they are. You don't need anybody to tell you that. You know if you're a warrior. And sometimes we are temporarily when we feel we need it. And then we go on to being a healer. And we get really focused on that for a while. The sage. The creative spirit. The silent mystic. The reflective hermit. I love being that part. Reliable guru. Or the passionate rebel like my son. He fits the cue perfectly. And you notice how there's 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers associated with each of these traits. And I find that really interesting. So if you're with somebody that, let's say, is your partner, and that partner is let's look at the warrior, it is any one of the 4 numbers, the 1st, the 8th, the 16th, and the 26th, it could have drew you together because you admired those similar traits that you both had and that you were working towards, and that you had that gift of being able to do what the warrior does. They're leaders. They really are, and they're pioneers. They're ready to get out there and do what they came to do. And all of us go through stages where we will pull off any one of these. You're not limited to just what your numbers are saying to you. In this case, it's the birth date of the day. So I find it very fascinating. I love information like this Numerology, like we talked about even at the retreat, is a very powerful part of life, language, and the way the universe works. All computers, everything is based on numbers. Do you ever see the numbers that they use, 0 and 1, all over the place in a computer program? So what I want to say to you, that don't ever limit yourself thinking that, okay, I'm a 1 because I was born on the 1st, I'm a warrior. And if it doesn't seem to fit for you, don't worry about it. You have that strength in you. You just use it in a different way. In other words, you will get the job done, and you can lead in ways that are very, you don't have to be standing out there on a soapbox to be a leader. You can just very quietly be a leader. Someone that just knows what to do when it's needed. Like Debbie. She just knows. She's got it. And you know if you do. And you know people that do. It's an extraordinary journey. But we have to know ourselves. That's what we're here for. We're not here to figure out anybody else. This lady that was texting me all day today, she kept analyzing another person. And she was speaking about herself because I know who she is. She was actually describing what she does. Did she even get it that that was a mirror for her? So again, that leads into this. If you're with a warrior, it's reflecting a part of you to bring it out in you, that you can be leading. You can be a pioneer, but in your way, expressing it as you like to. You see? Individual, authentically you, but still carrying this magnificent trait, this archetype. Now, in ancient Greece, they had archetypes that was related to the stars, and talked about it to us when we were there by a historian. And it was fascinating to me because this is very, very old. Astrology and numerology are linked at the hip, and they can't be separate. So if you do a deep dive into numerology and also interested in astrology, you're going to learn so much about the universe, about life, about the whys and wherefores of nature. It's all related. It's powerful. It makes you feel so clear on why things happen. And then you get upset because you know that the calendar is not correct. But watch nature. She will show you exactly where you are in the year. You don't have to look at a calendar. You see? Watch what she does, when she does it. Take note of the leaves. Take note of the animals, what they do to prepare for different seasons. That's how you'll know what month it is. Does it matter? Because it's linked to time. There is no time outside of 3,4-D. How they keep track of things, I yet to know. And I don't think it even mattered when I was there. Didn't matter. You were in the holy moment, and that's all that counted. Can you imagine that? Living in the holy moment, just completely centered, without thinking about the next day or later in the day, without worrying about an appointment. You'll always be where you need to be. You'll always know what you need to know. You'll be reminded by your divine self. It's an extraordinary surrender to life. If you're ready for it, it takes trust and faith. Do you have it? It was given to you. There's angels attached to it. Call for them to help you. I had to surrender at least 40 times over the time that I was away after the retreat because of the turmoil of 3D, where it's spinning 100 miles an hour after being at that retreat and in a space that I would like to stay for the rest of my life. But I had to unload another 3D from my life. And the feeling that it has left me with, if I thought I was in peace before, it holds no candle to how I feel right now. And so it shows me every time you unload another 3D concern, you're going to feel like this. It's going to keep making you realize that you're leading yourself into the true life. The true life, the real life. Not one that's stuck in 3 and 4D. That makes your head spin. That pressures you. Will you be able to function still? Absolutely. Absolutely. When I need to think, I can think. I had to at the closing. I had to go over everything. All I wanted to do is get out of my head and just stay in my heart. That is the transformation from a 3, 4D lifestyle to a 5D and beyond. No longer are you stuck in any kind of patterns that you've always done. You've always had to live that way. No longer will you. You will be free. The numbers prove it. Everything we need is given. The whole universe, all the universe wants for you is for you to reach your potential. And every time you ask for help, it's given. Does it come the way that you want it? It doesn't matter what we want. It's what we need that gets fulfilled. It's what we need. You see? And when your wants and your needs align with each other, you are totally filled with joy as life moves on. How do you get aligned? You let go and you surrender and let your higher self guide you, lead you down the path. It's straight and it's narrow, but it's perfect. Is it easy? Not really. But it's worth the effort that you have to make. Now, what happens as this becomes a way of life for you? It becomes easy. Everything's in the flow. Everything just works out. You're hungry, there's something to eat. You're thirsty, and there's water given. Everything. You need a bathroom, it comes. Whatever you need will be given. And all you keep doing is saying, thank you, Father. I am so grateful. I must have said it 400 times today. Because every time I close my eyes and I see that gorgeous pink and purple light inside my head, I am so grateful for that beauty. And it doesn't go away anymore. It's like a gorgeous sunset, a strawberry sunset. Each one of you, just think about what I say. If you can surrender to the journey, your higher self kicks into gear and takes over. It's called the Great Surrender. It takes everything you got until you convince yourself this is the way. This is the way home to the true you, to the divine you, to the peace that passes understanding, no matter what's happening around you. You stand in the light. You exude it to everyone around you. You can stop a riot by just standing there and sending out love. When we traveled, we did it. We did it, and we watched it. It was beyond the tell. At first, it surprised us. We couldn't believe it. But after it happened so many times, we knew what it was, what caused the peace to come over everybody. They didn't even know why they were fighting anymore. Yeah. You know how powerful you are, but you got to use it with love, honor, and respect. We're not here to tell anybody what to do, honest to God, we aren't. Other than our kids, God knows, and our grandchildren, till they get the hang of life. We're here to really train ourselves to become centered, to listen to the wee tiny voice inside you, such a whisper. To remain calm in the midst of chaos, to hold true to who you are and have the courage to speak when you need to. You can say amazing things that others won't get away with if you deliver it with love, with the intention behind it being love, kindness, caring. Somebody else that hasn't worked on themselves and actually mastered what they're asking someone else to do, they'll get slugged verbally or worse. Because you can't ask anybody to do what you haven't done yourself. And boy, did I learn that the hard way. Oops. I guess I didn't master that yet. What a life. What a journey. And it's leading us into a whole nother world. Another world that we're really ready for. Where people will be just like us. Actually care about each other. Not like the maniacs that were on the road today with Charlie having a fit because they're cutting us off and so on and so forth. And I just kept my hands up and I was pouring light into all the crazies on the road. They wanted a blessing. They got it. Charlie's blessing wasn't exactly what I would put under the terminology of blessing, but I tried to make up for it. And I do believe I did. You start to find humor where before you wouldn't. You start to feel such a sense within you of balance and harmony that you didn't feel before. You feel so much love sometimes in your heart, you don't even know what to do with it. And guess what? Anyone in your energy field feels it too. It's almost like you're sidling up to a mommy that really, really loves you. And her hug makes you melt onto the floor. I was the neighborhood mommy who was home, actually, when the kids got home from high school. Come to the house, and Mommy Barbara gave everybody a hug. And they were ready to just melt on the floor because their parents, they were too tired, too work orientated. They didn't have time for doing that. You know how you melt down a teenager? You say, let's bake cookies. Yeah, let's bake cookies. And they go, oh, okay. Here's teenagers. Now you would think they'd go, oh, get out of town. We had more fun. Of course, I found flour for 6 months on the floor, under the cabinets, and the drawers, but it was okay because we had a blast. And they had something that they didn't have at home. What's your number? See what your strengths are and use everything in your life to find other numbers that are associated with you. What numbers do you love? Check them out. See where it leads you. You're going to see all these numbers in your life are numbers that are associated with these traits and the others from the other video that we saw. And I'm sure there's others too. You see? And we're also going to do another crystalline body because it comes from another angle. And it really will help us to understand what this is all about. So, my dear friends, start really looking into some of this numerology and astrology and see what you're all about. See what motivates you. See what drives you. See what makes you peaceful. What makes you love. It's all there in the numbers. I've studied numbers since the 80s. I was talking to a young girl. She goes, I wasn't even born then. I said, yeah, that's okay. I said, I was telling her about the numerology. So she wrote it down. She never heard the word before. I knew in my heart that this girl is going to benefit from it. She was so beautiful and so sweet, and I was blessed to speak to her. So all of you, this magnificent learning that we're doing here, it's all about you. And when we go into segment 2, we're going to talk about this more about your numbers and how you feel the relation to that number. And if you don't, it's because there's other numbers that you may want to lean on more and focus on more that gives you more pleasure. So anybody that was on tonight on YouTube, or when you do listen to it, we invite you to join the forum. You can send me an email on the website, ourdivineorigin.com, and join us. We invite you to come. It's a wonderful experience, especially if you're here for all 3 segments. The song, Your Own Story. You're writing your story. It's all written for you. You wrote it. Live it. Don't give up on it. Keep going forward until you become the fullness of yourself. That song is so powerful to influence you. Never dim your light. Just keep going forward. Be authentically you, and you will reach heights that you couldn't even imagine over the years. Thank you. God bless. So tonight's topic was archetype. And as we went over it together, looking and reflecting at the numbers, and there's so many numbers associated with you besides just the day you were born, the month you were born. Add up the numbers of the year you were born. Look at each number of the year. Look at everything. Learn how the numbers reflect who you are. We want to get to know ourselves intimately. And this series that we're kind of in right now is about that. We're going to see various different topics that are going to bring us to say, whoa, all of this is like a package of me. And this way I can understand why I go in this direction or that direction, or I don't follow the crowd, or whatever it is. It's going to guide you to understand yourself better. So it wasn't just by happenstance, or we weren't just because we were being stubborn about things. We felt passionately to be who we are, to be authentic, to bring to everyone that comes to us a part of ourselves so that they can look at you and say, her words or his words are so meaningful to me. And I want my words to be that way so that people will look at you and say, you know what? I get it. I really get what you're saying. I know it in my heart, but I never really thought that I could do it too, or that I could be it, or that I could express it, or even that I could know it. There you are in all your beauty. The light shining in the world is you. Do you realize nobody could be you? Yeah. So when you try to be like somebody else, that's been taken. Be you. You want to shine that light that you are. You want the world to see you. And then you'll start to see the reflection back so you can say, wow, there I am. That's me too. And when you see someone that you don't relate to, that's what you were in the past. So you have compassion and love for them right where they are. Unconditional. Unconditional. That means they don't have to change for you. They don't have to do anything but just be who they are. And for us to look at them and say, I was there. I know what that feels like. I was struggling too. See, this is how we become compassionate. We learn compassion to its highest expression just by having gone through life, experiencing all the things that we did, and coming to really forgive ourselves. Because sometimes I used to say, why couldn't I be like that? Healed. And that's why I love to hang around elders. They went through all the junk. And then I could see this version of them that was so special. All their stories and experiences was fascinating to me. Yeah. Where the people my age, they were worried about what they're wearing and, if they had the same jewelry as the neighbor. And I wasn't into that. It didn't interest me. I'd rather hang out with my grandmother. Yeah. Than go out and get in trouble. Yeah. So these numbers, they're so powerful. And these archetypes, it really study it. There's the ancient version of all this that you'll really relate to some of them. You really will. And the ones that you don't necessarily feel that it's part of you, you may desire to have those traits, and say that would help me to be more of myself. If I could only get over whatever it is for you, so that I could really be me. When I was young, I was always trying to hide. I wanted to be invisible. I thought that's the coolest thing. So I could listen in and not have to get involved in the conversation or be pinned against the wall to have to come up with some kind of response on things that I really didn't understand. So, and then when someone would see me, it was like I would just literally want to just implode. And it was funny because I had some friends that were the opposite, and they helped me to come out of that shell. They said to me, you know what? You're so funny. Like if I hang around you, all I do is laugh because you come out with the craziest things sometimes. And I said, really? I didn't think I was so funny. They go, no, really. And I'd say, oh, okay. But don't try to do it because it's got to come out naturally. Otherwise, it doesn't work. You forget the punchline, you know what I'm saying? So who are you? I have people that can tell you, they start talking about their neighbor or their friend or somebody, and they think they got them pegged. And I know the same person, and I look at them and I go, you have no idea. You have no idea. That's why if you have a problem with somebody, getting along with them, don't tell another person that's going to meet them, because they may not have the same karmic tie to them as you do. You see? So you let them have their own experience, because it's very hard not to say, oh, you don't want to hang out with them, man. They're going to really take you for a ride, because that may not be the connection that they have. Your numbers are perfect. If you don't see yourself in your numbers, start playing with all the other numbers that could come up for you. You see, and you're going to start to see it all come together. And again, think outside the box. You don't have to necessarily express it the way, Dolores Cannon students handed that to us. Think of it how you could be expressing that gift in your own way. You see? You all are mighty, mighty people, honestly. And when I see how many sages and how many great healers, and I love the warriors, and the sages, the creative spirits that we have here, I look at it and I say to myself, that's why we came together. We're all a little different, but we're all on the same page. That's what counts. We're all seeking the same thing, to become authentically ourselves, to feel comfortable enough as a group that we can be ourselves, we can express ourselves, we can experiment, and we can learn, but we're really remembering, because you old souls, been there, done that, you got it in there, and now it's time to let it express itself. Let it come to the surface. Let your connection to your divine mind start flowing. And how I started allowing that to happen is I didn't immediately start speaking. I would kind of just rest for a moment and pause so that I could kick into gear. And what happens is it goes from your divine mind to your heart chakra. It it changes the frequency of it, and then it comes out your mouth. So if I delay, it's because it's processing a little longer in the heart, and then it will come out. Or if it isn't supposed to be discussed at all, I will not get any answers to a question or to a circumstance, or I'll even hesitate during a discourse. Because if the little mind, the brain, and the ego attached to it, if you allow that to kick in while you're in the flow, it stops the flow, and now you're listening to the human limited version of self. Practice pausing. Ask your higher self, please fill me with the words of wisdom. And the Christ in me greets the Christ in whoever you're going to be with. It allows that connection so that you will be at your finest, and the response from the other person will be beautiful. It's another way to live. It's the true way to live. And if we just surrender to yourself, but you ask your higher self, do you think I just come on here without saying to the Father, fill me with the words that would be spoken this evening. I start in the morning and then I do it before we get on. Fill me with the words. I don't want you to hear Barbara's version. I want you to hear my higher self's version. It's a much more pleasant experience. Although Miss Barbara can be fun too. Really. Because I love so deeply, I'm crying all the time. I look at a baby, the tears are running down my face. This little baby I met wanted to talk so bad. She was only a year old and she's babbling away. And I was trying to think in my mind where I've heard that language before, because she was just speaking from her planet, the last place she had been. And she's babbling away. Don't babble. Rest. Ask for the divine words to come from you, and you're going to surprise yourself. It's based on your numbers. It's based on the perfect alignment with the planets and stars and nodes and all that good stuff. If you've ever had your chart done, you get to see the planets, where they were, and how many planets you have in each of your houses. Some of the houses have none. Yeah, because in this lifetime, you don't need to go there. You already had that loaded in another lifetime. But this is it, kids. This is it. We don't have to leave the way we always left before. We don't have to come back. All we got to do is get our frequency high enough to be able to function in 5D. Are you ready? Do you want it? Yeah. And your higher self will bring you there. You don't have to figure this out. And like I've said this, Shelley, 462 times at least, you don't have to go back into your past lives. Your past comes to you because your higher self knows exactly what timeline, when it happened, how it happened. And so you have another experience. You don't have to be in your cave suit, or you don't have to be a warrior, like in the Roman soldiers. All you've got to do is be in the holy moment and go through the experience and feel it to the depths of your soul. If it hurts, what do? We cry it out. If we're angry, we yell it out. I can speak like a truck driver when I'm purging. I scare myself. Where did you get that language from? But you got to be really honest with yourself. We can't make believe we're okay when we're not okay. And everyone around you feels it in your fields. Hello? And you're the last one to know, right? Put on your face. I'm fine. Oh, yes, I'm fine. You're gritting your teeth. You're slitting your eyes. The tears are welling up in your eyes. So who are we kidding? Don't kid yourself. This is your time to be honest with you. And your numbers will guide you. Your numbers will help you because it gives you the strength, right? And the patterns that you need. Everyone needs something different. But if you really look at all of this, just like on the other chart we had, what isn't you? You've experienced almost all of this at some point in your life, or you will. So with that being said, I'll close here. I hope you enjoyed this as I did. It really was a good topic because we're getting to know who we are. Yeah, and why we do what we do and how we do it. God bless you all.
We are deeply grateful for this forum. We thank those in attendance for your attention, for your wonderful questions, future topic suggestions, and stories that touched our hearts and opened our minds to new possibilities. Our collective energy has filled this forum with light and love for each other. We are so grateful that each of us bring guides and angelic beings to the forum, raising the frequency even higher. We are grateful for the assistance, inspiration, and guidance from the benevolent beings overseeing the forum. Know we are all deeply loved and richly blessed. Amen.